Namaste everyone. Welcome back to our channel Golden Ratio. In the last video, we have uploaded the syllabus of the first sem BSc Mathematics and the question paper pattern. In this video, we are going to start the fourth unit of the first sem BSc Mathematics, that is the partial derivatives. So in this channel I am going to upload the BSc Mathematics theory class videos, important questions, the videos related to the lab practicals. So when we talk about our chapter, the partial derivatives, the derivatives we have studied in our PU section also. The partial derivatives, so we are not differentiating a function fully, okay, we are keeping the sum of the variables constant. So the partial derivative, the concept that will come nearly at the end of the chapter. So before that we have seen the functions in PUC and all. We have the function of the single variable like the f of x. So there will be something function like x square plus 2x. All the variables here is a single variable, okay. So in now we are going to study the function with many variables like 2 or more. So we are after x, we are taking x, y, and like this the function with the 2 variables and the function with the 3 variables we are going to study here. So we can give the example for the function with the 2 variables like x square plus y square. Here the function depends on both x and y. So for the 3 variables we can give xy plus z square into 3x. So anything it can be. So in this, so the first concept that we need to study in this chapter is the domain and the range of the function. Domain and range of the function. So we need to find the domain and range of the function which consists of more than one variable like the f of xy or f of xyz, okay. So what is this domain and range of the function? For example, I am going to consider the function, let f of x be x square. So how we can define the domain and the range? So the domain in usually I can define as domain is nothing but the values that we can give to this function. So when we can see the function, the x can hold the any number from negative infinity to positive infinities. The numbers or the values which can be given to the variable, that is called as the domain. Generally it is called as the domain of the function. So if I give f of minus 1, so what will be the answer? If it is minus 1 square, so we will be getting the 1. If I consider the f of 1, so I will be getting 1 square which is equal to 1. F of 0 if I consider, so it is 0 square which is once again 0. So f of minus 2 if I consider, minus 2 square which is equal to 4. And f of 2 if I consider, 2 square which is equal to 4. So by this it is clear that the x can hold the any numbers in between the real line, that is minus infinity to positive infinity. So what is the range of the function? The answer or the output of the function, we are generally calling it as the range of the function. So in this example we can see that this is all are the range of the functions. I can generally say the range of the function as the output of the function. The range is generally, I can say that the output of the function. So here we can say what is the range. So I can say the range, the answer that all I am getting is greater than 0. The 0 is also included. So I can generally write the range in a closed interval. The closed interval means that it is included. So 0 is included from infinity. So I am using the open interval for the positive infinity. So I don't know where exactly it stops. So the domain I can also write it as, so it is from minus infinity to infinity. So x can take any value, either it is rational, irrational, any real number it can take, but the answer or the output or the range always a positive number which is 0 or greater than 0. So generally we can define the domain as the all possible numbers that we can assign to a given function, and the range is the what all possible outputs. Now I hope that the definition of the domain and the range that is clear to you. Domain is nothing but the all possible numbers or something that we can give to the given function, and range is nothing but it is an output of that function. Now let us see the example and the exercise questions that we need to study in this part. This is our example questions given in our textbook. So here they have given the function w, which is defined as square root of y minus x square. So now we are going to find the domain and range of this function. So this kind of question can be asked for 2 marks in exam. So for the solution part, we can write the domain and range. So if you want, you can write the given function is w is equal to square root of y minus x square. So we need domain. So when we can observe, so the domain is nothing but the conditions that we can give, the two variables they're given. So one is y, another one is the x. So if we think, we can assign any real number for both x and y. So here we can give any number to both x and y. Okay, if we give x is as what we will consider x as 2. So y also I am giving it as 3. So generally what will happen, you can see that so square root of y is nothing but we have considered the 3 and x is as the 2. So the 2 square is 4. When we subtract the both, so we are getting the negative sign. So the negative or under root negative, it is nothing but the complex numbers. So one thing that we need to note, the answer that we are getting in the domain and the range of the function, that cannot be a complex number. Here it is under root minus 1, which is nothing but the complex number, and it does not defined here. So we can assign the domain as in terms of the condition. So the domain or the numbers that we are giving here, that must x square, the x square must be less than what y, then only what we can say the function will be a holds the positive number. So I can write the domain here as I can write the given function or the given numbers must be greater than, or it must be what, less than x square. So the under root answer can be 0, but it cannot be negative. So I'm going to write once again. So this is our domain. According to this, the domain says that so the giving number should be such that for both x and y, the x square must be less than or equal to y. It cannot be greater. If it is greater means it may leads to the negative square root numbers. So it is not defined under the domain and the range. So what will be the range of this function? So the inside the number cannot be what, negative. So the answer that all we are getting is in a positive sign. So I can say that so the range is nothing but from 0 to infinity. The 0 is also included here, since both if x and y are same means, so it's a subtraction, so we are getting 0. So the square root of 0 is 0. So 0 is also included, and it can extend to infinity. This much only the answer. The second question in the example part is, it is defined as w. The function is defined as w equal to 1 divided by x into y. So when we see what is the domain of the function here, so the domain we can see, so the x and y can take any values on the real numbers, but we can see if the denominator term is 0 means though the function is not defined. Okay, so what we can, the domain can be any real number. The one condition should be such that the x and y should not be equal to 0. If either x or y is 0 means the function will be 1 by 0, so it is not defined. or the range, what we will be getting the range. Since the product x into y is not equal to 0, so we won't get the answer or the range 0. So except 0, we will get all possible numbers on the real line. So we can define the range as from negative infinity till 0. So here the 0 is not included. And not only the negative numbers, we may also get the positive numbers. So we can denote the indication union here. So from that 0 to infinity. So here also the 0 is not included. So it is the domain and range. Now the third question is, so it is also that function is defined as w equal to sine of x into y. So the domain. So here there is no restriction for the domain. The domain can be any number. So what are the possible value that the sign can take? So that will be the domain. So we can generally write entire plane here. We cannot include the indication like the minus infinity to infinity. So we cannot say that all possible values that can be given to the sine function is the domain here. So the range is already known. The range of sine function that we have already studied. So it is from minus 1 to 1. The answer will be, or the range will be from minus 1 to 1. Now the fourth example, which is the w is defined as 1 divided by square root of x square plus y square plus z square. It is the function with 3 variables. So the domain, here also it is the same case. The sum x square plus y square plus z square should not be equal to 0. That is the domain, except that everything is possible, means the xyz should not be 0. So if it is 0, means the function is not defined. So the range, since it is a square term, we will always get the positive number, that we can write the indication from 0 to infinity. So 0 is not included. Fifth question is w is equal to x into y into ln z. So what will be the domain and range in this case? So here there won't be any restriction for this x and y, but when we see there is a ln z, so we know that the ln of any negative number gives a complex numbers. So the complex number is not included here. So we can give the condition that the domain or the inputting value should be that especially z should be greater than 0. If it is lesser than 0, the ln of that value gives the complex number. So the function is not defined there. So the range can be anything from negative infinity to infinity. So this is all about the example questions. So we have the exercise questions related to this. So we will be solving the first question. So here it is f of xy, the function with 2 variables, that is defined as square root of y minus x. So what will be the domain and range? So the domain, we can say that here also we already said that the square root of the negative number is a complex number. To avoid the complex number, so we can write the domain in terms of the condition. So that the y should be what, greater than x, then only it will give the positive number. So this is the condition, so we can avoid the complex numbers. So the range, so the range can be, range will be all positive numbers. So we can say from 0 to infinity. So here it can be equal also, so 0 is included. So the next question is, which is very important, which is repeated many times. So the f of xy is defined by square root of 9 minus x square and y square. To find the domain in case of this like function, so we need to solve the equation first. So I am taking the inner function and substituting it to 0 to find the domain. So what I will do is, I will put the inside function to 0, since we don't know what are the values that can be given. There is a number, no, so we have to substituting this to 0 first. So take the any term to that side, I will take the terms to that side. So that comes, so x square plus y square, which is equal to 9, and just shifting this term to that side, that will become the positive. So to avoid the formation of the complex numbers, the sum of x square plus y square should be not equal, so it must be equal or less than, we can say that. So it is a type of inequality. So we need to solve this to find the domain of the function and range. Take the square root on both sides, so I can write taking square root on both sides. So I will get x plus y is lesser than or equal to c, so it will be the domain. The x and the sum of the term x and y should be less than or equal to 3, it will be the domain, then only the function will be defined. Okay, so what will be the range? So when the question of this kind arises, like the square root of any number subtracted by any other terms x and y, so the range will always be the reciprocal, or the range always begins from the reciprocal of this value. So here the range will begin from 1 by 3 till infinity, so the negative number is not possible, so the range will be this. The last question in the exercise, this is also very important. F of xy is defined as 1 divided by square root of 16 minus x square minus y square. So it is similar to our second question in the exercise. Here also, to find the domain, we need to solve this. So I am taking the function which is inside the square root and I am substituting it to 0. So I will get x square plus y square, which is equal to 16. So to avoid the formation of the complex numbers, so I have to form a inequality. So what we can say, the sum of these two squares must be less than or maybe equal to 16 when I take the square root. Taking square root on both sides, so I will get x plus y is lesser than or equal to 4. So it will be the domain of the function, it will be the domain. So what will be the range? I already said that when this type of question arises, the range will start from the reciprocal of this value. So it is from 1 by 4 to infinity. This is all about the questions that we need to study under this part, domain and range of the function. I hope this video is helpful for you. Support and thank you so much for watching.